Welcome to the cultivation universe where everything abnormal is normal. And today's main character, Bai Xiaochun, is living proof. A young man who fears death more than the sky falling. A genius whose main talent is causing trouble. And also the only person who can make the entire sect want to beat him, protect him, and avoid him as much as possible. A will eternal, a cultivation story full of laughter. But beneath it is the emotional journey of a seemingly useless person who carries within him a will that can shake heaven and earth. If you want a story that's addictive from the first listen, humorous, touching, and extremely captivating, then this is the perfect choice. Now let's embark on a journey where just one thought is enough to shake eternity. Ninth formation of the Dao Mountain, originally created by the sect master of Lingxi sect for Bai Xiaochun, could only be fully unleashed by him. With his Heavenly Dao Foundation establishment cultivation, that was power comparable to a golden core. Bai Xiaochun, using his giant form, unleashed mountain-shattering charge. With incredible speed and relentless footsteps, Bai Xiaochun controlled the giant to charge towards the black-armored puppet. A loud bang resounded. Bai Xiaochun slammed into the black-armored puppet, sending it flying with a screeching sound. The Zhuangxi sect members inside the puppet all turned pale, their blood pressure unstable, and they spat out fresh blood. Unable to withstand a single blow, Bai Xiaochun said coldly, stepping forward and stomping down. The black-armored puppet couldn't withstand or dodge the attack and was forcefully kicked down by Bai Xiaochun. Before it even hit the ground, Bai Xiaochun lunged forward, grabbed its arm, and swung it forcefully. The black-armored puppet was thrown flying, and while still in midair, Bai Xiaochun caught up, punching it repeatedly. No matter how much the black-armored puppet struggled and dodged, it couldn't escape Bai Xiaochun's relentless barrage of punches. Each punch sent the puppet trembling, its protective shield twisting and shaking as if about to shatter. "You despicable sneak attacker," the black-armored puppet roared, surprised by Bai Xiaochun's strength, but having lost the initiative, it was continuously overwhelmed and unable to break free. Seeing the protective light barrier about to shatter, the black-armored puppet roared, emitting a powerful black light carrying destructive force. The barrier shattered, the black light spilled out, and Bai Xiaochun took a step back, his left foot spinning as he kicked the black-armored puppet in the back, sending it crashing to the ground. Bai Xiaochun dodged the destructive black light with a swift movement, coldly snorting, "Is that all the skill you have? You probably don't have the qualifications to test the true combat power of the ninth formation of the Dao Seed Mountain." The black-armored puppet bent over, propping itself up with its right hand, and without hesitation, formed a hand seal with its left hand, gathering the power of all the cultivators within the puppet, conjuring another illusory figure wielding a long sword and slashing at Bai Xiaochun. Bai Xiaochun merely glanced at it, then looked up to the sky and roared. His body radiated a dazzling golden light, affecting even the giant, causing a golden glow to emanate from around it. This was the power of the immortal golden skin. The heavenly demon form appeared, superimposed on the giant's form. From the outside, it no longer looked like a giant formation, but rather like a majestic heavenly demon returning to the human world. Bai Xiaochun, in his heavenly demon form, raised his hand and punched the illusory clone. The illusory clone shattered upon impact. The Zhuangxi sect's artifact puppet, renowned throughout the world, especially in black with a touch of gold, is truly outstanding. But today's battle is truly disappointing, Bai Xiaochun said calmly, his words exactly matching what the cultivator in the black-armored puppet had said earlier, even mimicking the tone of disappointment perfectly. The monk in the black-armored puppet roared, controlling the puppet to leap forward, chanting incantations, intending to cast a spell. But before he could cast the spell, a 1,000-foot-tall purple object silently appeared in midair, slamming into the black-armored puppet. The game is over. The heavenly demon stepped forward, swinging his claw. The black-armored puppet opened its mouth, spewing out a stream of 7-colored poisonous gas. This poisonous gas corroded even the puppet itself, and the gas, capable of corroding the void, flew straight towards Bai Xiaochun's face. A laugh echoed from within the black-armored puppet, filled with anticipation, not only for the puppet itself, but for the entire Zhuangxi sect. This was the opportunity they had been waiting for, because the black-armored puppet not only spewed poisonous gas, but also chanted incantations, causing the great swords in the air to form a sword formation. With more than 50 flying swords raining down on Bai Xiaochun, combined with the poisonous smoke, it formed a deadly encirclement. A mere trifle, Bai Xiaochun snorted softly. The heaven-penetrating dharma on his forehead opened, and a third eye suddenly appeared on the forehead of the heavenly demon's body. This eye opened, looking at the poisonous smoke and the sword formation. More than 50 great swords trembled, frozen in midair. Although they only froze for a moment, that was enough for Bai Xiaochun. He pierced straight through the poisonous smoke, appearing in front of the black-armored puppet. Impossible! The black-armored puppet couldn't believe it. This poisonous smoke was its ultimate killer move. Although it wasn't enough to kill a true golden core cultivator, the Zhuangzi sect was absolutely certain it could kill a formation-transformed puppet. But they didn't know that Bai Xiaochun's giant was no longer just a formation-transformed puppet, but also a heavenly demon descended, so this poisonous gas had no effect on it. The black-armored puppet was grabbed by the shoulder by Bai Xiaochun, who pulled hard. With a crack, the puppet's shoulder shattered, and 4 cultivators from the Zhuangzi sect flew out from its severed arm, their faces filled with terror as they fled. However, they hadn't gone far before cultivators from the bloodstream sect swarmed forward and surrounded them. Bai Xiaochun didn't stop, continuing to use the throat-shattering lock, squeezing the puppet's neck tightly. With a loud crack, the puppet's neck snapped in two, its head flying off. Several more Zhuangzi sect cultivators were thrown out, and the remaining severed body of the puppet, controlled by the cultivator inside, hastily retreated, attempting to escape. They were terrified of Bai Xiaochun, but Bai Xiaochun wouldn't let it escape. He took a deep breath and unleashed the mountain-shattering charge. Boom! The naked eye could hardly keep up with Bai Xiaochun's speed. All that could be seen was a blur of afterimages piercing the black, armored puppet, Zion through it. A loud explosion, the black, armored puppet exploded into many pieces. More than 10 cultivators from the Zhuangzi sect were either instantly killed or severely injured, and were slaughtered by cultivators from the Bloodstream sect and Spirit Stream sect who swarmed forward. Bai Xiaochun sighed softly, intending to move elsewhere, but his gaze suddenly stopped at an area several thousand feet away, because he saw Zhu Mei. She was in critical danger, her weak body swaying, fresh blood dripping from under her mask, constantly retreating. In front of her were 4 late-stage Foundation establishment cultivators from the Zhuangzi sect fiercely pursuing her. Du Zumai, no matter the outcome of this battle, you must die now. Killing Du Zumai, this peak 9-level Earth Vein cultivator, is like eliminating another Wujuzi of the Bloodstream sect. Du Zumai, you killed my junior brother before. Did you ever think this day would come? These 4 late-stage Foundation establishment cultivators, some seeking merit, others seeking revenge, were all determined to kill Zumai. Zumai spat out blood, mixed with some black, clearly poisoned. For the Zhuangzi sect, which had already seized more than half of the Denshi sect, poison had become a powerful weapon. Hai Mai let out a faint, desperate laugh. Her father was battling the patriarch of the Zhuangzi sect, unable to spare the time to save her. The blood spirits and the supreme elders were also engaged in life-or-death battles. The battlefield was too vast to see everything. Even if they could see, they would be caught up in the Zhuangzi sect's fierce competition and unable to come to her rescue. She didn't want her father to be distracted because of her, but the treasure she had carried for months in constant battle had been depleted too much and was no longer usable. She was also too exhausted, her whole body swaying, her vision blurring. Must I die here? Blood Plum laughed, gritting her teeth as she continued to perform the incantation. A faint mark, like a scar, appeared on the back of her hand. The death shadow was unleashed with frenzied fury. This was the scene Bai Xiaochun saw. Bai Xiaochun now had only one thought in his mind, to save Blood Plum. But from where he was to Blood Plum was over 1,000 feet, and in between were many puppets of the Zhuangzi sect fighting and blocking his way. He couldn't possibly rush there. Bai Xiaochun looked up to the sky and let out a long cry. Mid-level cultivators, come here. Bai Xiaochun, transformed into a heavenly demon, leapt up, his booming voice echoing everywhere. A dense blood aura erupted from his body, forming a blood-red column that pierced the blue sky. Those most affected by this blood aura column were the mid-level cultivators, because Bai Xiaochun was a mid-level blood sun. All the mid-level cultivators on the battlefield felt a surge of desire to reach Bai Xiaochun's side. This feeling was incredibly strong, impossible to suppress, and their cultivation and combat power were constantly increasing. In an instant, many mid-level cultivators left their areas and rushed towards Bai Xiaochun, followed by a storm of mid-level cultivators. Their blood aura surged, swirling around Bai Xiaochun's heavenly demon body, condensing into a blood sword. Bai Xiaochun took a deep breath and rushed forward at incredible speed, drawing a throng of mid-level cultivators with him. From afar, Bai Xiaochun's heavenly demon body was surrounded by mid-level disciples, their blood energy surging like a sea of blood. Bai Xiaochun's flight on this sea of blood was striking on the battlefield. Taidan roared from a distance, and the war beasts followed suit, creating a magnificent spectacle. Many Spirit Stream sect cultivators, seeing this, were filled with fervent enthusiasm and joined the fray, bringing the number of cultivators surrounding Bai Xiaochun to several thousand. Like a large, sharp blade slashing through the battlefield, the elders all gasped in astonishment. Although the Bloodstream sect and the Spirit Stream sect had undergone a preliminary fusion, and some disciples had become allies, they remained largely separate, each acting independently. Therefore, the combined combat power of the two sects in this battle was less than half. This is also why the Zhuangzi sect, which should have lost early on, is still holding out until now. The ancestors of both the Blood and Spirit sects understand this, but haven't found a way to change it because the time for the two sects to merge is too short. But today, Bai Xiaochun appeared. With just a long roar and the burst of blood energy, he brought about a completely different change. In his presence, the Bloodzi sect's combat power increased, and the Spirit sect's battle beasts surged with excitement. Everyone wanted to follow him and fight with all their might. Thanks to him, all the cultivators of the Bloodzi sect have now rapidly increased their combat power, regardless of their cultivation level, whether they are inner disciples, outer disciples, or ancestors. The entire Bloodzi sect's combat power increased by 30%, causing the Bloodzi sect to cheer loudly. Although the Spirit sect wasn't as fortunate, seeing the Bloodzi sect's frenzy, they didn't want to be left behind and unleashed all their combat power. The cultivators from both sects continuously flew towards Bai Xiaochun, causing the number of people around him to quickly increase from a few thousand to over 10,000. But more cultivators still kept flying towards him, especially those from the Bloodstream sect, because being close to Bai Xiaochun made them even stronger. On the battlefield, there are many ways to protect one's life, but being strong oneself is absolutely one of the most powerful. Is that Bai Xiaochun? Is this the person who caused this war? Ancestor Thousand Faces said that if Bai Xiaochun died, the Bloodstream sect alliance would immediately collapse. The distance of over 1,000 feet from Blood Plum was shortened incredibly quickly in just a short moment. The blood energy gathering around him increased, and the shape of the greatsword was about to take form. Hearing the commotion behind her, Zuemiai felt her cultivation level recover somewhat, and her combat power increase considerably. Barely enough to engage in combat with the four Foundation Establishment cultivators of the Zhuangzi sect. The four Foundation Establishment cultivators of the Zhuangzi sect were terrified. Unaware of Zumei's relationship with Bai Xiaochun, they were bewildered by the display of power. Finally, they decided to use their full strength, unleashing their most powerful attacks, determined to kill Zhu Enmiai as quickly as possible, so they could disperse and avoid Bai Xiaochun's direct onslaught. One conjured a black dragon, another a clone, and the remaining two drew their treasures, one a rope, the other a black handle. Do Zhu Enmiai, go to hell! The black dragon roared and charged forward, the clone behind her wielding a giant sword slashing down, the rope flying and tightening, the candle spontaneously igniting, sending smoke billowing towards them. Blood Plum spat out another mouthful of blood, struck directly by the black dragon's attack. She staggered back, her clone closing in. Blood Plum cast a spell, retaliating fiercely. With a flick of her right hand, a hazy plum blossom appeared, colliding with the clone. With a loud bang, the clone shattered, but Blood Plum was also thrown back. The rope flew towards her, and the candle smoke was now less than 3 meters away. Blood Plum's vision blurred, time seemed to slow down, and she suddenly remembered many past events. Suddenly, she vaguely heard a roar of anger and anxiety. Bai Xiaochun leapt up, grabbing the fully formed blood-colored greatsword behind him, and flashed straight at the four Foundation Establishment cultivators of the Zhuangzi sect. Dai, hundreds of meters long, seemed to tear through the sky, drawing a terrifying curve, as if opening up the void, shattering space, creating a sharp screech like countless vengeful spirits screaming, shaking the minds of the four Foundation establishment cultivators of the Zhuangzi sect. It felt as if a hand had reached in and squeezed their heads. The four men, in pain, bleeding from their orifices, fearfully retreated, unleashing their cultivation to the limit to defend against the blood sword. Time seemed to slow down as the great sword descended, striking the first cultivator. He cried out in pain, taking out numerous protective treasures to defend himself, but all were shattered. The great sword did not stop, continuing its descent to decapitate the cultivator. The sword was too large, and the cultivator too small. After being struck, the cultivator's body disintegrated, turning into a bloody mist. His entire body, soul, storage bag, and all the items inside were reduced to blood mist. Then came the second and third, both turning into blood mist just like the first. The last one, the one with the highest cultivation, a Foundation establishment great perfection cultivator, took out a jade slip emitting a dazzling light, radiating teleportation power that enveloped him, intending to teleport away. The great sword descended, and the cultivator vanished. It's unclear whether he disappeared first or was transformed into blood mist by the great sword, but in any case, when the blood sword struck the ground, the earth exploded with a deafening roar, grinding and creating a trench hundreds of meters wide. Bai Xiaochun breathed a sigh of relief, ignoring the escaped cultivator, and turned to look at Zhu Mei. Zhu Mei was also looking at him with a complex expression. Before she fainted, Bai Xiaochun saw that although Zhu Mei's injuries were not light, they were not life-threatening. Given her status, she would naturally be provided with the best medicinal herbs. He also knew that he would have to wait until the war was over before he could visit her. He couldn't do that now. Let's see if you can still claim to be in seclusion, Bai Xiaochun thought happily, turning to look towards the magnificent city. Just as he looked, the last cultivator was finally teleported and appeared on the city, his face ferocious, his heart pounding, his breathing erratic. Bai Xiaochun, I will remember this grudge. Killing me won't be so easy, be careful. If you're careless for even a moment, I will kill you. The cultivator screamed inwardly, trying to suppress the fear caused by Bai Xiaochun's sword strike. He was about to enter the city when he saw the cultivators inside staring at him in terror. The cultivator was stunned, suddenly feeling a sharp pain in his forehead. He reached up to touch it and found it covered in fresh blood. He trembled with fear, and as he opened his mouth to speak, a crack quickly appeared on his forehead, splitting his body in two. It turned out that even though he had been teleported away, he was still too slow. He didn't manage to escape before the great sword struck, but rather immediately after it came down. The cultivators following Bai Xiaochun were silent for a few seconds, then erupted in cheers. Young Ancestor! Blood Lord! The deafening roar echoed, reaching cultivators far away who were unaware of what was happening. The morale of the cultivators from both sects on the battlefield surged, becoming agitated. The Zhuangzi sect was pushed back more than half the battlefield. Seeing their opportunity, the two sects' ancestors, the Spirit Blood sect, waved their sleeves and ordered decisive battle. Zhuangzi sect, total attack! The Supreme Elders, Blood Soul, and the list of inheritors led the charge, followed by an army of over 100,000 cultivators, surging forward like a tidal wave. The slaughter had reached its most intense moment, and the ancestors of the Zhuangzi sect all realized that the key to this was Bai Xiaochun. If Bai Xiaochun dies, everything will be resolved. Kill Bai Xiaochun! The ancestors of the Zhuangzi sect knew they couldn't personally attack Bai Xiaochun, so, at any cost, even if it means sacrificing the lives of Foundation establishment disciples, we must kill Bai Xiaochun. A command was issued, and the cultivators of the Zhuangzi sect, some hesitated, some retreated, but a portion of the Foundation establishment cultivators roared, flying towards Bai Xiaochun from all corners of the battlefield. The black-armored puppets and the sword formations in the sky also joined in. Although the main task of the sword formations was to protect and prevent the core formation cultivators of the two Spirit Blood sects from breaking through the formation, they now disregarded that and unleashed their strongest power to attack Bai Xiaochun. Bai Xiaochun quickly dodged, but as soon as he rushed out, dozens of large swords crisscrossed and flew past where he had just been standing. Bai Xiaochun shuddered. It was too dangerous here. The sword formations in the air continuously emitted light, and the cultivators of the Zhuangzi sect were attacking from all sides. making him red-eyed and roar. Kill! He felt as if he had returned to the Luochen mountain range, to the fallen sword abyss. His killing intent erupted, and he charged forward, crashing into a black-armored puppet that had just approached. Simultaneously, his death energy transformed into a peak and struck down. Bai Xiaojun's right hand unleashed the throat-shattering lock, like lightning, gripping the puppet's neck. With a loud bang, the puppet's head flew off. Before it could even retreat, Bai Xiaojun leapt up. He grabbed the puppet and covered himself with it. As soon as he finished, dozens of great swords rained down from the sky, piercing the black-armored puppet. The puppet shattered into pieces, and all the cultivators of the Zhuangzi sect inside perished. Bai Xiaojun panted heavily, charging towards the magnificent city, surrounded by tens of thousands of cultivators. "Follow me, take the city." Bai Xiaojun was completely enraged, roaring to the heavens. For the Zhuangzi sect sword formation to be attacked twice was a humiliation for the Supreme Elders, Blood Soul, and the lineage of the Bloodzi sect and the Spirit Stream sect. Especially for the Bloodstream sect, Bai Xiaojun's importance in today's battle was extremely clear. He had significantly boosted their cultivation and combat power. If he died, the Bloodstream sect would be reduced to its original state. How could they allow that to happen? Therefore, the Supreme Elders and Blood Soul of the Bloodstream sect competed to unleash their ultimate techniques, not only forcing back their Zhuangzi sect opponents of the same level, but also charging towards the sword formation. The core formation cultivators of the Spirit Stream sect shared the same sentiment. Li Qing'e was among them. Having previously watched Bai Xiaojun's perilous situations twice, his heart was filled with worrying. Now, his eyes blazed with killing intent, and he forcefully swung his hand, causing the surrounding vegetation to transform and shoot straight into the formation. The powerful core formation cultivators of the two sects, wielding their powerful spiritual blood, pressed down, forcing the core formation experts of the Zhuangzi sect to retreat repeatedly. Their sword formation could no longer focus its attention on attacking Bai Xiaojun, instead concentrating all its efforts on defending. Bai Xiaojun's pressure lessened considerably, but he was a vengeful person. Twice the danger drove him mad. Although he knew this was war, there was no right or wrong, only life or death. He was still afraid of dying. "You were the ones who wanted to kill me first. You underestimated me too much. Your ancestors attacked me, and even your sect's grand formation wants to kill me." Bai Xiaojun charged forward. His attack, along with tens of thousands of surrounding cultivators, created a path. Wherever they went, the Zhuangzi sect couldn't resist and retreated relentlessly. In other areas, though not as flamboyant as Bai Xiaojun's, they held the advantage, relentlessly pressing forward. The Zhuangzi sect's defeat was irreversible. Many cultivators of the Zhuangzi sect decided not to fight anymore, but they didn't choose to surrender because the Zhuangzi sect's mountain gate still remained. If the mountain gate were to fall, then surrender would be the only option, better than losing their lives. Therefore, many cultivators still hoped the war would end sooner, and the two blood spirit sects would conquer the mountain gate sooner, because not many people would choose suicide when they lose the battle. Suddenly, from within the protective light barrier of the mighty city, many cultivators flew out. These cultivators were the reserve forces of the Zhuangzi sect. Now that it was a matter of life and death, there was no need to hold them back any longer, so they all rushed out. Although there were only tens of thousands of them, they were still full of momentum, and many black-armored puppets flew straight towards Bai Xiaojun. The two sides clashed, with wars, the sound of spells being cast, and the light of magical artifacts blooming. Bai Xiaojun leapt up, charging straight into the two black-armored puppets. He wielded the mountain-shattering spear, the throat-shattering lock, the death-check cauldron, and the blood sword simultaneously, slashing and killing his way through. He grabbed the puppet's head and slammed it against his own. Boom! The puppet trembled, the cultivator inside groaning in agony, the sound of breaking bones echoing. Ignoring the second puppet's attack, Bai Xiaojun continued to deal with the first. After 7 or 8 attacks, the puppet shattered into pieces. Only then did he turn to look at the second puppet. The puppet trembled and retreated. Bai Xiaojun snorted coldly, his heaven-penetrating Dharma eye opened, and his control power erupted. He didn't intend to control the entire puppet, but only one of its legs. He glanced at it, and the other leg, which was stepping backward, paused for a brief moment. But for Bai Xiaojun, that was enough. In a flash, he lunged forward, unleashing the mountain-shattering charge, and thrust straight into the puppet's body. Half of the puppet's body was shattered. Bai Xiaochun grabbed its neck, intending to crush it. But a cold voice suddenly rang in his ears. Bai Xiaochun, do you remember me? From within the magnificent city, a purple puppet flew out. This puppet was distinctly different from the black puppets. Its entire body was covered with countless faces, all lifelike, their eyes closed, and each one looking utterly tormented. This puppet wasn't tall, only about 50 feet, and only 9 people controlled it. The speaker was the black-haired young man standing in the center. This young man was very cold, his face split into 2 halves, giving him a bizarre appearance. His icy gaze stared intently at Bai Xiaochun. Bai Xiaochun glanced at him and immediately recognized the young man as the one he had seen inside the vortex when he killed Fang Lin of the Dengxi sect in the Eternal Sword Abyss all those years ago. Back then, Bai Xiaochun didn't know who he was, but later, when the Zhuangzi sect went to war with the Dengxi sect, his reputation gradually emerged and shone brightly. He was Lin Mu, the peerless genius of the Dengxi sect, but he betrayed the Dengxi sect, joined the Zhuangzi sect, and became a disciple of one of its ancestors. There were many rumors about his identity. One rumor said he was originally a secret disciple of the Zhuangzi sect, sent to the Dengxi sect as a spy. But the rumors didn't matter. What mattered was that today, he was representing the Zhuangzi sect. The purple puppet flew towards Bai Xiaochun at an extremely fast speed. Without hesitation, Bai Xiaochun grabbed the black puppet's face, severing its neck. He then channeled his cultivation into the puppet, killing all the cultivators inside. He then grabbed the black puppet's head and threw it straight at the purple puppet. As he flew closer to the purple puppet, a halo flashed around it, and with a swoosh, its head turned to dust. Bai Xiaochun was slightly shocked. This person was no less powerful than Zhu Dao, and seemed even stronger. Without thinking much, he opened his third eye. A 9-colored light screen radiated around the purple puppet. Crimson, orange, yellow, green, dark green, blue, purple, black, white. The 9-colored light screen shattered one by one, but the purple puppet was unaffected by Bai Xiaochun's heaven-penetrating Dharma eye. On the contrary, with each layer of light that shattered, Bai Xiaochun's Dharma eye ached. I've long prepared to deal with this move of yours. The purple puppet sneered, its hands forming a hand seal. A sun appeared, its blazing fire illuminating all directions. The purple puppet raised it high and hurled it straight at Bai Xiaochun. Sunlight technique. Lin Mu roared. Bai Xiaochun's left hand also formed a hand seal. His right hand patted his storage bag, conjuring a pile of herbs, and threw them out, shouting, "Herbs, soldiers!" The herbs in midair grew wildly, instantly forming hundreds of intertwined plants that covered the crimson sun. Bai Xiaochun roared softly, the herbal net retracted, and a destructive force erupted, intending to crush the crimson sun. Lin Mu's expression changed. He snorted coldly and pointed. Yin Moon Tribulation Crimson. A bright moon appeared in the puppet's left hand, rapidly growing larger, emitting an icy aura. He pointed, and the moon flew straight towards Bai Xiaochun. Songqiu and Guiyu were startled, not expecting that among their generation, there was someone who could fight on equal footing with Bai Xiaochun. Shangguan Qianyu gritted his teeth, his eyes blazing with unwillingness. Zi Bing. The yin moon, like a multicolored silk ribbon, flew straight towards Bai Xiaochun at an extremely fast speed, reaching him in an instant. Lin Mu controlled the purple puppet, his right hand holding the yang sun, his left hand the yin moon, hovering in midair like a god, his aura overwhelming. Although the yang sun in his right hand was wrapped around and almost sealed by Bai Xiaochun's herb-based weapon, the yin moon in his left hand alone was enough to create a terrifying pressure. Bai Xiaochun, die for me! Lin Mu roared. It's you who will die. Bai Xiaochun also roared, his right hand forming a hand seal, the immortal longevity technique erupting to its limit, the blood energy within him continuously surging out. In an instant, the blood energy condensed into a blood-colored greatsword. He grabbed it and flashed straight at the yin moon. He unleashed the heaven-penetrating Cha secret technique, drawing a drop of the heaven-penetrating river water from his spiritual sea, merging it with his blood energy to form a blood-colored sphere, which flew out along with his blood sword. As soon as the blood sphere appeared, all the surrounding cultivators felt an intense sense of danger. That is, this aura, heaven-penetrating river water. Bai Xiaochun's blood-colored greatsword flashed at Lin Mu Yinyue. The blood sphere also flew straight towards Lin Mu. In a short time, the area where the two fought changed color, and the wind and clouds were tossed about. The blood light blazed brightly, visible even to cultivators far away. Even the supreme elders and those with inherited power had to look over, their eyes narrowing. Although they were at the core formation stage, none of them were as formidable as Bai Xiaoqun and Lin Mu now, unleashing astonishing power. Even relying on formations and puppet bodies, they could achieve this. But this alone showed that these two were at the peak of the Foundation establishment realm. A powerful shockwave erupted from the two men, violently spreading outwards. Bai Xiaoqun's heavenly demon body twisted and recoiled several steps, while the purple puppet shrieked, cracks appearing on its surface as it also retreated. Both men gasped for breath, laughing heartily. "You are indeed much stronger than Ju Dao. What a pity." "Bai Xiaoqun, you will still die here." Lin Mu controlled the purple puppet to leap into the air. In midair, he raised both hands as if supporting the heavens. His right hand slowly overlapped his left, and he loudly chanted 4 words. "Sun and moon, shine together." Images of the sun and moon appeared, overlapping like water and fire, shining brilliantly, carrying a destructive power that tore through everything around them. In an instant, the area within 100 yards was enveloped in that light. This light was both extremely hot and extremely cold, merging together to form a very strange power, as if wanting to dissolve everything. Except for Bai Xiaoqun, all the cultivators struck by the light vanished into thin air. Bai Xiaoqun held his breath. His heavenly demon body showed signs of instability. If things continued like this, in just a few more breaths, his giant heavenly demon body formation would also be reduced to dust. Furious, Bai Xiaoqun slammed his storage bag, and more than 100 light spheres appeared in his hand. These light spheres were all created from magnetic force, and inside were poisonous smoke. He threw all of the more than 100 light spheres at the purple puppet. The light spheres flew too fast. The radiance of the sun and moon couldn't dissolve all of them in such a short time, so all of them struck the purple puppet. They shattered, and the mist poured out, entering the purple puppet. It happened so quickly. Bai Xiaoqun let out a loud shout. His heavenly demon body weakened, revealing the giant formation that had been half dissolved. The giant was about to disappear, and he used his last remaining power of the formation's avatar, roaring, split formation. The formation's avatar exploded, shattering, and the remaining force of the formation sent all the cultivators of the Lingxi sect flying out. Bai Xiaoqun leapt up, his entire body erupting with the immortal longevity technique, his skin glowing golden, using his heavenly demon body as a protective shield. And he sped out of the area of the light. The purple puppet trembled violently, some inside screaming in agony, others laughing maniacally. Then, with a bang, the puppet split into many pieces. The cultivators of the Zhuangzi sect, as if driven mad, scrambled out. Lin Mu's face was pale, and he also flew out shouting, "Bai Xiaoqun." In midair, Lin Mu's hair was disheveled. He had thought he was strong enough to kill Bai Xiaoqun with that move. Even if he couldn't kill him, he could at least break the avatar formation and easily kill Bai Xiaoqun with the power of the purple puppet. But unexpectedly, while he wasn't afraid of the backlash and used the sun and moon's radiance technique to destroy the opponent's avatar formation, his own purple puppet was also destroyed by the damned poisonous smoke. Now the two were evenly matched, without avatars or puppets. They glared at each other, consumed by furious anger. Lin Mu trembled. He knew Bai Xiaoqun's physical strength was immense, and he also knew his advantage lay in his techniques, not his physical body. He intended to retreat, but Bai Xiaoqun charged forward, unleashing the mountain-shattering strike, a punch flying out. "All my techniques are used up. Now let's fight each other with individual strength. Let's see who's stronger." Lin Mu wanted to dodge, but realized his speed was slower than Bai Xiaoqun's. His body hadn't cultivated the immortal longevity technique, so he couldn't be as wild and ferocious as Bai Xiaoqun. Terrified, he bit his tongue and spat out a mouthful of blood. His fresh blood transformed into a shield, blocking Bai Xiaoqun's punch. The two sides clashed. The blood shield, though not shattered, was pushed back, striking Lin Mu's chest forcefully. Lin Mu spat blood and retreated rapidly. "Want to run?" Bai Xiaoqun flashed after him, raising his foot and kicking down, hitting Lin Mu's shoulder. Lin Mu gritted his teeth and continued to retreat. He was very frustrated but didn't know what to do. In terms of cultivation, he was naturally not afraid of Bai Xiaoqun, and his techniques were even better. It was just this brute strength that he couldn't possibly match Bai Xiaoqun's. Damn it, we cultivators cultivate divine abilities, seek the great Tao, and our main goal is immortality. Why are you cultivating your body? Only immortality can lead to immortality, so of course I have to cultivate an immortal body first. Bai Xiaochun retorted, his words leaving Lin Mu speechless. He spat blood again and was sent flying far away by a punch from Bai Xiaochun. Bai Xiaochun continued to pursue, and Lin Mu, utterly unwilling to give up, became even more furious. He swung both arms, and a pill furnace flew out from his sleeves, heading straight towards Bai Xiaochun. Bai Xiaochun snorted coldly, not slowing down at all, and slammed into the furnace. With a loud bang, even the precious furnace couldn't stop Bai Xiaochun and was sent flying. Lin Mu's hair stood on end. He swung his right hand, and a token appeared. He spat blood into the token. The token shone with a dazzling, 7-colored light soaring into the blue sky. Sword formation, protect me. Lin Mu shouted quickly. Bai Xiaochun had appeared, grabbing at Lin Mu. Suddenly, his expression changed, because although the sword formation in the sky was still suppressed by the 2 Foundation establishment sects, more than 10 great swords flew out, like lightning bolts, striking directly at Bai Xiaochun. Lin Mu retreated quickly, taking out 7 or 8 shield-like magic treasures and a jade slip. He squeezed it hard, his body blurred, and he began to teleport. Another teleportation jade slip. Even though the Zhuangzi sect is skilled in refining artifacts, this is a bit too many teleportation jade slips. But 10 sword formations can't stop me. Bai Xiaochun didn't dodge the swords, charging straight in. A lamp appeared, emitting a gentle light that blocked 10 great swords. Bai Xiaochun continued to pursue Lin Mu, getting closer and closer. Lin Mu's expression changed. Before he could react, Bai Xiaochun unleashed a mountain-shattering charge. His wings flapped behind him, his speed increasing dramatically, instantly closing the distance and striking directly at the shields protecting Lin Mu. Earth-shattering explosions followed, shattering more than half of the shields. Bai Xiaochun's speed slowed slightly. He raised his right hand, his index and thumb fingers turning yellow. It was the throat-shattering lock. A powerful suction force surged out, forcing Lin Mu to spin around, stopping midair as Bai Xiaochun's 2 fingers pierced through. Lin Mu's body was already half indistinct, his teleportation power nearly complete. Lin Mu screamed wildly. As Bai Xiaochun's fingers approached, his right hand emitted a black light, containing a self-destructing shockwave. Self-destruction, not his whole body, but his right hand. Lin Mu's right hand turned a shimmering black, and with a bang, it exploded. The force of the explosion made Bai Xiaochun freeze, the throat-shattering lock piercing into empty space. Lin Mu's body recoiled, his right arm completely annihilated. This annihilation affected not only his body, but also his soul. He was insane, his body already 90% indistinct. The teleportation power around him completely different from the teleportation power of the 9 islands and the final Foundation establishment cultivators. It seemed Lin Mu's teleportation range was even farther. Even if you flee back to the mighty city, you will still die, Bai Xiaochun sneered. Lin Mu looked at him and laughed loudly. You think I'll run back to the Zhuangzi sect? Bai Xiaochun, you didn't hear me clearly. In today's battle, you can't possibly kill me. In today's battle, I lost, permanently losing an arm, but later, I will use every means to make you pay back everything with interest. Bai Xiaochun laughed. Do you really think there's still a chance to meet again? Bai Xiaochun said indifferently, his eyes flashing strangely. Lin Mu was startled by Bai Xiaochun's gaze. You can control the sword formation, but I, Bai Xiaochun, also have a secret technique, bone-emitting immortal, shop for me. Bai Xiaochun activated the immortal longevity technique, activating a drop of immortal blood condensed in the bloodstream sect, connecting with it and pointing it at Lin Mu. Bone-emitting immortal, who was originally fighting an ancestor of the Zhuangzi sect, suddenly trembled. Its right arm disappeared, then suddenly reappeared behind Lin Mu. That arm instantly pierced through the teleportation light screen into Lin Mu's already hazy body, grabbed his heart, and squeezed hard. Boom! With a burst of teleportation power, Lin Mu's figure completely vanished, leaving only the arm of the undying bone in midair, clutching a heart in its hand. This heart quickly changed from bright red to gray, then turned to dust. Bai Xiaochun's eyes narrowed, but he didn't have time to think much. Just as he was about to continue his slaughter on the mighty city, he heard cheers from afar. Looking up, he saw hundreds of cultivators flying rapidly towards him. Wherever they passed, spears of light flew out, spreading poisonous gas. Hundreds of people behind them followed, attacking with extreme ruthlessness, especially Su Xiaoshan, who charged forward while shouting incessantly. Bei Hanli, Gulai, and Shen Swansea were the core group, leading the hundreds of others in a furious onslaught. That day, Bai Xiaochun was chased by a crocodile, and they scattered in all directions. Later, they regrouped, not knowing where to go, and had to rush into the battlefield. They were then scattered again, but upon seeing Bai Xiaochun, they regrouped, forming a team to meet him. Although Bei Hanli wouldn't admit it, he would never forget the months he had spent with Bai Xiaochun. He and Bai Xiaochun exchanged glances, and although he still snorted coldly, his charge became even faster. Su Xiaoshan shouted, "Bai Xiaochun, we're here!" Central Peak Blood Sun, boundless power, Lynxy heavenly vein, awe-inspiring in all directions, hundreds of people roared. Bai Xiaochun was moved, waved his sleeve, and shouted, "Brothers, I'll lead you to a place. Let's conquer the mighty city together." In the sky, the ancestor of the Zhuangzi sect cried out mournfully, "Return to the city. Defend to the death." The monks of the Zhuangzi sect flew back to the city, followed closely by monks from the Lingxu sect. The elders of the Zhuangzi sect also fled back to the city. The Zhuangzi sect stopped fighting and used all their strength to maintain the grand formation. The two Lingxi sects launched a full-scale attack. Flying swords whistling through the formations, war chariots firing enormous arrows, piercing the formations and shaking the protective barrier. On the ground, besides the troops of the two Lingxi sects, there were also the remaining troops of the Dangxi sect. Their numbers were not large, only a few tens of thousands, but their ferocity far surpassed that of the other two sects. They had a grudge against the Zhuangzi sect. Their opponents in this battle included not only Zhuangzi sect cultivators, but also former fellow disciples. Among the Dangxi sect's army was a girl wearing a white veil, her figure perfectly curvaceous and alluring. She was a rising star of the Dangxi sect in this battle, named Chen Manyao. Besides her renowned poison skills, her beauty was said to be the most beautiful woman in the entire lower cultivation world. Lin Mu and Ju Dao were both infatuated with her, let alone other male cultivators. Even the patriarch of the Zhuangzi sect was tempted, wanting to take her as a concubine. But she was very resolute. She would rather die than submit. Standing beside the other two patriarchs of the Dangxi sect, she softly said, "The Zhuangzi sect hasn't used its ultimate technique yet. If it does, the outcome, defeat, is certain." The two patriarchs nodded slightly, one of them's expression changing as he looked up at the magnificent city. It has already been used. Zhuangzi mountain range. The protective formations surrounding the mighty city were constantly crumbling. Although they quickly reformed, they were already extremely shaky. The Zhuangzi sect's ancestors were all severely wounded, bitterly looking down at the battlefield, then at each other. Today, even if we pay the price to kill Bai Xiaochun, it will be useless. Don't lose your momentum so quickly. These two sects, the Spirit Blood sect, even if they unite, they certainly won't last long. Just prolong it a little longer, let them collapse on their own, and make the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect lose patience, preventing them from having any chance to reach the Void River Academy. And the beginning will be Bai Xiaochun's death. The Zhuangzi sect's ancestors, who were already at odds with each other, now disagreed again. One ancestor, his face and hair red, snorted coldly. At this point, arguing is pointless. Even if they eventually surrender, we must still inflict pain on those two sects. We mustn't let the information that Tiamian brought back go to waste before he dies. As this old man spoke, everyone else fell silent, for he was the Bloodstream sect's foremost figure, the Crimson Soul Ancestor. The supreme treasure is unleashed. The Heavenly Palace is locked. The Crimson Soul Ancestor waved his hand, pointing outwards. Outside the magnificent city, the ground trembled, huge cracks appeared, rapidly spreading across hundreds of meters. The ground continuously undulated like water, and a roar echoed from deep within. The golden core cultivators and the ancestors of both sides changed color, staring intently down. The ground shattered and collapsed, the roar incredibly clear, spreading in all directions. Roar! A colossal, pitch-black heavenly ox, thousands of meters tall, leapt from beneath the earth. its two long horns emitting a strange, eerie black light. The black-armored heavenly ox radiated power no less than that of a nascent soul ancestor. From its body, a constant stream of black smoke billowed out, its corrosive effect overwhelming everything. Black-armored heavenly ox. Someone recognized it and exclaimed. One of the two great treasures of the Zhuangzi sect, the black-armored heavenly ox, has finally arrived. The first ancestor of the Lingxi sect snorted, his hand forming a hand seal, pointing to the sky. Invite Lingxi sect, heavenly horn sword. A piercing scream echoed across the sky, a fierce roar of extreme speed, a sound tearing through the air. In an instant, a dazzling silver light appeared in the distance, a pitch-black sword. At first glance, this sword seemed ordinary, slightly curved, forged by the black dragon horn. It appeared unremarkable, but it was extremely extraordinary, for its blade was covered with 10 streams of silver light patterns. This proves that this sword has been refined 10 times. Even scrap metal refined 10 times can become a treasure sword, let alone this heavenly horn sword. It has surpassed supreme treasures, reaching the level of a half-step spiritual treasure. Artifacts are divided into treasures, supreme treasures, and spiritual treasures, each state further divided into 3 grades: heaven, earth, and human. Supreme treasures used to protect sects are mostly heavenly grade supreme treasures. As for spiritual treasures, even the lowest grade spiritual treasure is a rare and precious item, normally not used, only brought out when the sect faces a life or death situation. When the heavenly horn sword descended, the cultivators of the Lingxi sect cheered. It's our sect's heavenly horn sword. Ha ha ha, the heavenly horn sword is here. It will shatter the earth and cut through the moon. The might of the heavenly horn sword shakes mountains and rivers. 10 times refined, unparalleled. The sound like waves, reverberating everywhere, causing the Zhuangzi sect to frown. The bloodstream sect's patriarch snorted coldly, startled by the 10 light patterns on the heavenly horn sword. He wondered what kind of luck the spirit stream sect had, managing to refine the spirit 10 times without it breaking. This is probably the only artifact in the entire lower eastern region of the cultivation world that has been refined 10 times, the bloodstream sect's ancestor remarked. Bai Xiaojun was excited, looking at the heavenly horn sword, especially the 10 light patterns. He suddenly remembered the turtle pattern cauldron. Although he hadn't used this cauldron much, it was Bai Xiaojun's biggest secret. He always imagined a day when he could refine a magic weapon 100 times. Just thinking about the possibility of success, the fear and admiration it would evoke, filled him with excitement. There will definitely be such a day. While Bai Xiaojun was still daydreaming, Taidan leapt up, staring intently at the black-armored heavenly ox, its eyes filled with longing. But it knew that there was a huge difference between itself and that creature. But it was too greedy, so it quietly shrunk its body and crept closer to the black-armored heavenly ox. The heavenly horn sword hissed and flew towards it, suddenly slashing down. The black-armored heavenly ox suddenly raised its head to look at the heavenly horn sword, roaring loudly, the black mist around its body quickly retracting into its body. Its 1,000-foot-tall body quickly solidified, its aura greatly increased, resisting the heavenly horn sword. A curved beam of light slashed down, touching the black-armored heavenly ox's body, only touching it once, then flying up again. But with just that one touch, the light patterns on the heavenly horn sword flickered. The black-armored heavenly ox let out a mournful cry. Its body quickly shrunk, its eyes filled with fear. It wanted to dodge, but it was impossible, and then its body was split in two. Fresh blood gushed out. The severed body revealed a black crystal inside, radiating an eerie power. 10 times of spirit refinement, truly terrifying. The ancestors of the Zhuangzi sect were stunned, unable to believe it. Every cultivator in the Zhuangzi sect was shocked, and the people of the Bloodstream sect were no different. They had naturally highly regarded the heavenly horn sword before, but today, seeing its power firsthand, they had to admit they had underestimated this sect-protecting sword. 10 times of spirit refinement, it seems the legend is true. After 10 times of spirit refinement, an item undergoes astonishing transformations. This sword is probably only a little short of becoming a true spiritual treasure. The Bloodstream sect's ancestor sighed. He gradually realized that the Spirit Stream sect was indeed a sect with extraordinary hidden power. On the surface, they might not be able to match the Bloodstream sect, but if a real war broke out, even if the Bloodstream sect won, They would pay a heavy price and would never have the right to rule the central region. The clash between the Heavenly Horn Sword and the black armored Heavenly Ox attracted everyone's attention. A vague aura from the majestic city was directed straight at the black armored Heavenly Ox. When the black armored Heavenly Ox was struck, the cultivators of the Lingxi sect erupted in cheers, their morale soaring. Conversely, the Zhuangzi sect remained silent, filled with pain and anxiety. The crystal within the black armored Heavenly Ox's corpse continuously emitted a strange power. All the cultivators, and even the battle beasts, stared intently at it. The essence of a king beast? No, that's a fake, the Bloodstream sect ancestor whispered. The moment he spoke, the iron egg, now only the size of a hand, flew towards the black armored Heavenly Ox's corpse at an incredible speed. Its eyes blazed with a desire. Bai Xiaochun was stunned, sensing something was wrong, and quickly chased after it. Before he could get close, suddenly, a whooshing sound, like the sound of a bowstring being shot, emanated from the majestic city, a sharp, ear-splitting sound. A pitch-black arrow, moving at an incredibly fast speed, was invisible to the naked eye. It was visible from afar, but in the blink of an eye, it appeared beside the black armored Heavenly Ox. Its target was Iron Egg. Iron Egg roared in danger, trying to dodge, but it was too late. Bai Xiaochun roared, opening his third eye and channeling his power directly at the arrow, intending to catch it. He converted all his strength into his power, successfully causing the arrow to momentarily pause. That brief moment allowed Iron Egg to dodge, but the arrow also subtly changed direction, not aiming at Iron Egg, nor at him, but at the black crystal. The Bloodstream sect ancestor gasped and shouted loudly, "Night Burial, retreat quickly, its target is you." The other ancestors reacted quickly, rushing to his aid, but it was too late. Everything happened too fast, and the opponent seized the opportunity too fiercely. It was Bai Xiaochun who proactively flew there for Tai Dan, creating a gap in the protection the ancestors of the two sects had for him. This gap was invisible to outsiders, but how could the Zhuangzi sect not see it? Perhaps this was even a trap they had set. Bai Xiaochun didn't have time to think much, nor did he have time to unleash many moves to protect himself. He only managed to grab Tai Dan. A black light flashed, and the turtle pattern cauldron instantly flew out. He desperately pulled himself back, burrowing into the cauldron. As soon as Bai Xiaochun finished, the arrow flew over, striking the crystal. A loud explosion, a wave of black ripples spread out, leaving no grass in its wake. Within a radius of 30 feet, all living people vanished. The black armored Heavenly Ox's corpse also turned to ashes, and the ground within a radius of 30 feet sank down by half a foot. After the black light disappeared, only a pitch-black cauldron remained near the edge of the circular depression, motionless. The cauldron trembled, slowly lifting, and Bai Xiaochun shakily crawled out. "Zhuangzi sect, I, Bai Xiaochun, will never forgive you. You dared to ambush me twice." Bai Xiaochun shouted, terrified. Even with the protection of the turtle pattern cauldron, he felt like he was about to die, his legs turning to jelly. "Tai Dan, you almost killed your father. Do you understand?" Bai Xiaochun crawled out of the cauldron, scolding Tai Dan, who was bowing his head in his arms. Seeing that Tai Dan seemed to have admitted his mistake, Bai Xiaochun couldn't bring himself to scold him further, but his heart was filled with rage. He glared at the magnificent city, where an old man with a large bow stood atop the city wall. "You damned immortal, just you wait for the Bai family. I'll take that bow of yours and show you." Bai Xiaochun roared in fury. And he's still not dead. On Zhangsheng, the Crimson Soul ancestor held a huge blue bow, radiating the aura of the Heavenly Dao, the second most precious treasure of the Zhuangzi sect, the Heavenly Bow. The arrow just now was shot from this bow. The Zhuangzi sect had long realized that killing Bai Xiaochun was impossible, even for a golden core cultivator. Only an ancestor could do it. But if an ancestor-level cultivator intervened, the other side would certainly send people to stop them. Moreover, although the battlefield looked chaotic, in reality, both spirit blood sects were constantly keeping a close watch on Bai Xiaochun, protecting him with extreme vigilance. Unable to find an opportunity to kill Bai Xiaochun, the Crimson Soul ancestor devised this plan, sacrificing the black armored Heavenly Ox to reveal the spirit stone containing the aura of a king beast as bait to lure Tai Dan. If Bai Xiaochun didn't rescue him, so be it. But if he appeared, then He would detonate the spirit stone, wiping out all life around it, determined to take Bai Xiaochun's life. As long as Bai Xiaochun died, the two blood spirit sects would be split again. Even if the Zhuangzi sect had to surrender afterward, they might still have a chance to turn things around. But unexpectedly, despite such meticulous planning, Bai Xiaochun still didn't die, leaving the old man utterly furious. The ancestors of the two blood spirit sects breathed a sigh of relief. Li Qingou trembled, bewildered and terrified, and Bai Xiaochun's friends were also shocked. Then, in their rage, the attacks of the two blood spirit sects intensified. The heavenly horn sword whizzed through the air, piercing straight into the formation of the mighty city, and the remaining treasures of the two sects also appeared one after another. Blood-colored giant trees, blood mirrors, and others launched a barrage of attacks on the mighty city, pierced the Zhangsheng, causing the formation to shake violently as if about to shatter. At the same time, the ancestors, golden core cultivators, and many foundation establishment cultivators of the two blood spirit sects attacked the formation. Bai Xiaochun, panting heavily, also charged forward, continuously releasing blood energy to maintain the peak combat power of the bloodstream sect cultivators. Beside him, Taidan roared, leading the battle beasts, charging madly towards the formation. Demons, corpse refiners, blood swords, death cauldrons all targeted the formation. The ground trembled, and the mountain range began to crack. Blood clouds expanded, seemingly everywhere, turning the entire sky above Zhangsheng red. Behind Zhangsheng, the remaining members of the Dangxi sect also relentlessly attacked the formation, causing the Zhuangzi sect to be under attack from all sides. The mountain range collapsed, and the formation shrank, because if the protective range wasn't reduced, the formation couldn't hold out. Zhuangzi sect, you don't need to wait for you to bring out your treasures. I'll show you the treasures of my Zhuangzi sect first. Let's see if you still want to hide them. The ancestor of the Zhuangzi sect's face darkened. The ancestor chanted a spell, pointed to the sky, and shouted, "Zhuangzi Night Puppet." A sudden red lightning bolt appeared, tearing a hole in the sky, revealing a bizarre scarecrow inside. The scarecrow laughed sinisterly, its red eyes flashing, one hand holding a piece of human skin, the other a scale, emanating an astonishing pressure. The pressure alone caused a magnificent formation to tremble violently. The cultivators of the Zhuangzi sect were excited. In the sky, red lightning bolts continuously shot towards the scarecrow. The scarecrow suddenly disappeared, then reappeared just outside the formation, raising its right hand, the scale in its hand continuously growing larger. And a vague phantom image appeared in the scale's pan. Upon closer inspection, one would realize that the illusory image was a miniature representation of the entire mountain range, with the magnificent city within it. The weight moved along the balance beam, as if measuring the weight of the magnificent city. The ground trembled, the mountain range crumbled, the magnificent city shook, and the formation cracked along with the moving weight, as if once the weight was finished, everything would fall apart. Bai Xiaochun took a deep breath, suddenly realizing that compared to these treasures, even the ancestors were insignificant. This is the pillar of the sect, so what is the pillar of my Lingxi sect? Bai Xiaochun pondered. Several ancestors of the Zhuangzi sect wore serious expressions, and Ancestor Qi Hun slammed his hand down on the ground. With a loud bang, the ground trembled, rubble was shaken up, and an altar suddenly rose in the middle of the square of the magnificent city. Heavenly venerable incense, Ancestor Qi Hun shouted, and a black incense stick, only about the size of a thumb, emerged from the altar. The incense stick carried an aura of sorrow, as if it had existed for a very, very long time and had been used several times, as there wasn't much incense left. After appearing, the incense stick spontaneously lit itself, emitting a soft blue smoke that pierced through the formation, rising into the sky, and in midair, coalesced into an illusory figure. As soon as this figure appeared, the scarecrow's eyes blazed red, and it immediately turned to look. The figure solidified, transforming into a cultivator. This cultivator was a middle-aged man, wearing a Taoist robe and a Taoist hat, with an ethereal, otherworldly appearance. In the blink of an eye, his aura seemed to merge with the heavens and earth. The sky, earth, and mountains trembled slightly. The middle-aged cultivator pointed downwards, and the weight in the scarecrow's hand shattered, no longer able to weigh anything. "Heavenly power!" exclaimed the first ancestor of the Lingxi sect. Bai Xiaochun only glanced at the middle-aged cultivator, his eyes stinging, his mind reeling. He felt as if the other person had replaced the entire blue sky. That person was the embodiment of heaven's might. The scarecrow's eyes blazed even redder. It swung its left hand, its whole body swayed, and it donned the skin on its left hand, transforming into a child with horns on its head and a large mouth, charging straight towards the middle-aged cultivator. The first patriarch of the Lingxi sect chanted a spell, pointing to the sky. Ling Yang Black Crow. The sky seemed to be torn apart by two giant hands, revealing a clear sky behind the clouds. In that sky, there was a white sun. Inside the white sun, there was a black crow. The crow opened its eyes and let out a screech. The black crow took a slight breath, sucking the white sun into its mouth, and swooped down. Dangxi treasure, come out for me. The Crimson Soul Patriarch roared madly. A Dangxi sect patriarch, bound by a forbidden spell within the mighty city, gritted his teeth and pointed to the sky. In the exact spot where the white sun had appeared, another sun appeared, identical, only it was black. As the black sun appeared, the entire sky darkened. Eerily, within the black sun, there was a crow identical to the black crow of the Lingxi sect. But this crow was white. All the cultivators widened their eyes in disbelief. It was unimaginable that the Lingxi sect and the Dangxi sect possessed such similar treasures. If they claimed to have no connection, no one would believe it. Bai Xiaochun was also stunned, looking around. The white crow opened its mouth, sucked the black sun into its belly, transforming into a rainbow, and charged straight towards the black crow of the Lingxi sect. Young Crow Yin Crow. The Bloodstream sect ancestor pondered. He had heard a rumor years ago that the Lingxi sect, when it first entered the lower reaches of the cultivation world 10,000 years ago, originally had no treasures. However, after a collaboration with the Dangxi sect, it acquired a spiritual treasure. Never mind, no matter what, this war must end here. Zhuangxi sect, there can't be a third treasure. The Bloodstream sect's founder and the first ancestor of the Spirit Stream sect looked at each other, both nodding. If they had attacked aggressively from the beginning, they could have won, but the losses would have been too great. This war dragged on because the two blood and spirit sects intended to conserve their strength and gradually wear down the morale of the Zhuangxi sect, because their ultimate goal wasn't to slaughter the Zhuangxi sect, but to seize it. Since the Zhuangxi sect had already offered up all their treasures, there was nothing left to worry about in this war. Zhuangxi sect, will you surrender or not? The first ancestor of the Spirit Stream sect waved his hand and asked loudly, Zhuangxi sect, surrender or not? The Bloodstream sect's ancestor took a deep breath, his voice echoing. The outer disciples of the Lingxi sect formed giants, bombarding the formation, while the outer disciples of the Bloodstream sect also formed blood spheres, relentlessly bombarding it. This formed the first wave of attack. With a loud bang, the formation shook, and the cultivators maintaining it in the Zhuangxi sect trembled. Just one wave of attack, but the sheer number of outer disciples from both sides was overwhelming, causing chaos among those maintaining the formations. Zhuangxi sect, surrender or not? The voice, like thunder, shook the entire Zhuangxi sect. Before they could even catch their breath, all the corpse refiners, demons, war chariots, and war beasts formed a raging wave, relentlessly attacking, creating the second wave of attack. This wave was several times stronger than the previous one, causing the people in the mighty city to tremble violently. Everyone's faces turned pale, and they all understood that the subsequent attacks would be even more terrifying. But they didn't have time to react, because immediately after the second wave of attacks, the inner disciples of the two sects joined forces, charging straight into the protective barrier, creating a third wave of attacks. Zhuangxi sect, surrender or not, the mighty city shook, the formation twisted, and the cultivators maintaining the formation were attacked 3 times, their faces pale, their cultivation declining. But they didn't have time to recover, because immediately after the third wave of attacks, the 7 mountains on both sides of the Lingxi sect, from the sect masters to the most powerful cultivators, all activated the giant formation, launching a 4th wave of attacks. It was like being stabbed again while already dying. The cultivators maintaining the formation all spat blood, and the formation had no choice but to shrink once more. But immediately afterward, the giant formations of the Dao sect, including Bai Xiaochun, the 3 great blood disciples of the Bloodstream sect, and the elders, launched their 5th attack. Many of the cultivators defending the formations fell, and others had to be brought in to replace them. Mysterious Stream sect, surrender or not? The 6th attack followed. this time from the Supreme Elders, using all their most powerful magical artifacts and divine abilities. The formations cracked with a loud bang, and although they were immediately repaired, the cultivators defending the formations continued to vomit blood and faint. The cultivators in the city were completely despairing, yet the attacks did not stop. The Blood Souls, the Inheritors, used their maximum cultivation and their most powerful ultimate moves to launch the 7th attack. Boom! 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 Countless cracks appeared in the formations. The city walls of the mighty city collapsed, and many of the cultivators defending the formations were completely annihilated, their bodies and souls utterly destroyed. The formation continued to shrink its range, leaving many cultivators of the mighty city outside its boundaries. Among them were cultivators from the Zhuangzi sect and those who had surrendered from the Dengxi sect. They silently stepped aside. Since they had been separated, they no longer wanted to fight for the Zhuangzi sect. The 8th wave of attack had arrived. 6 Bloodstream sect ancestors, 4 Spirit Stream sect ancestors. 10 people, like 10 fingers of a god, unleashed their strongest fighting power. Before they even arrived, their voices resounded. Zhuangzi sect, surrender or not. Wherever the voices passed, the void shattered, the heavens and earth blurred. In an instant, the 10 great ancestors approached, colliding with the formation. The ancestors within the Zhuangzi sect's formation roared, resisting. With a resounding crash, more than half of the mighty city collapsed. The Zhuangzi sect ancestors all spat out fresh blood, their faces pale, their bodies trembling, and they aged considerably. Even the Crimson Soul ancestor spat out blood and staggered backward. But at that very moment, behind the magnificent city, the remaining members of the Dengxi sect attacked. A massive alchemy furnace appeared, striking directly at the formation. Zhuangzi sect, surrender or not. A large hole appeared in the formation, and the Crimson Soul ancestor roared, raising both hands, his nascent soul great perfection cultivation fully unleashed, attempting to repair the formation. But Bai Xiaochun saw a blurry figure suddenly appear within the formation, a figure that Bai Xiaochun was extremely familiar with. A monkey! The monkey held a large stick, striking forcefully at the formation. Zhuangzi sect, surrender or not, a hoarse, aged voice rang out, and at the same time, the formation exploded and shattered. The formation shattered, a whirlwind arose, sweeping in all directions. The Crimson Soul ancestor spat blood again, as did all the cultivators of the Zhuangzi sect. A figure moving at an indescribable speed, almost invisible to everyone, its origin unknown, instantly flew into Zhangsheng, appearing on the altar, revealing itself to be a rabbit. The rabbit blinked, snatched the burning incense stick on the altar, and crushed it. The middle-aged Taoist priest who was fighting Dao Caoren in the air instantly vanished into thin air. Dao Caoren lowered his head, suppressing his terrifying aura upon the already severely injured ancestors of the Zhuangzi sect, rendering them immobile. Everything happened so quickly from the monkey's appearance, the breaking of the formation, the rabbit crushing the incense stick, and Dao Caoren's suppression of his aura. It all happened in just a few breaths. Bai Xiaochun's eyes widened as he stared intently at the rabbit on the altar. This world was in danger. Bai Xiaochun suddenly saw cultivators from both sects, and even the remaining Dengxi sect behind the mighty city, all rushing towards the city. He was startled and slapped his thigh. This is the greatest achievement. The first to charge in is the one who has made a great contribution. Bai Xiaochun shouted urgently, running at full speed. Tai Dan, knowing his thoughts, rushed forward and rammed into Bai Xiaochun, helping him to move faster. With his wings spread, Bai Xiaochun shot forward like a shooting star, rushing past everyone into the magnificent city and onto the city wall. Zhuangzi sect, will you surrender or not? Bai Xiaochun roared. The Crimson Soul ancestor bitterly looked at the Zhuangzi sect disciples around him, then at Bai Xiaochun, deep in thought. After surrendering, how would he resolve his grievances with Bai Xiaochun? He blinked, then bowed to Bai Xiaochun. We surrender. As soon as he spoke, the surroundings suddenly fell silent. The cultivators of the two blood spirit sects were agitated. The cultivators of the Zhuangzi sect breathed a sigh of relief, and Bai Xiaochun was overjoyed, his face beaming with excitement. He struggled to restrain himself, taking a deep breath, tilting his chin up, flicking his sleeve, and arrogantly declaring, Bai Xiaochun has instantly captured the crucial pass of Zhuangzi, causing everything to vanish into thin air. As he rambled on, the little turtle's head popped out from his storage bag, its eyes wide with admiration as it stared at Bai Xiaochun, its voice filled with emotion. It's been a long time since I've heard someone boast so effortlessly and gracefully. Bai Xiaochun was stunned. For so many years, every time he flicked his sleeve, he was filled with pride, never having been interrupted by anyone. So he stared down blankly, then widened his eyes and gaped at the plump head of the little turtle. "Damn it, you're still in my storage bag," Bai Xiaochun shouted, reaching out to grab it. But the little turtle immediately retracted its head and vanished in an instant. Bai Xiaochun was furious. This little turtle had caused him so much trouble. Thinking back to the miserable time he was chased by the golden crocodile, his heart trembled. He angrily searched, but no matter how hard he searched, he couldn't find the little turtle. He gritted his teeth, changed to a new storage bag, and threw the old one out of Zhangsheng. "If you have the guts, stick it out again," Bai Xiaochun said angrily. No sooner had he finished speaking than the little turtle's head popped out of the new storage bag, looking at him contemptuously. "Out of respect for you, I'll grant the Turtle Clan a new home. The Turtle Clan will gladly do as you wish and come out for you to worship." Bai Xiaochun wanted to cry, and after a long time, he sighed. He knew he had truly lost to the little turtle. He dejectedly looked around and saw that the cultivators of the two-spirit blood sects had rushed into Shang City, accepting the surrender of the Zhuangzi sect. The monkey and the rabbit, Bai Xiaochun searched for them for a long time but couldn't find them anywhere. Even Tai Dan, after Shang City fell, flew into the city and then disappeared. "That monkey and the rabbit, I created them." Bai Xiaochun was dejected, suddenly remembering the other small creatures he had also created. The Zhuangzi sect's ancestors, including the Crimson Soul ancestor, weren't sealed, but only under house arrest. As for the others, the two-spirit blood sects had many ways to unite them. These matters didn't concern Bai Xiaochun. He merely glanced at them a few times, then withdrew his gaze and looked at the cultivators of the two-spirit blood sects in Shang City. He saw that everyone was joyful and excited, with cheers and shouts echoing throughout the city. It could be said that with this battle over, the entire lower reaches of the eastern heavenly meridian of the cultivation world had truly been unified. Afterward, all that was needed was some time to consolidate and gather the combined strength of the lower reaches of the cultivation world, to conquer the middle reaches and challenge the Void River Academy. This battle had already made Bai Xiaochun a star, an object of admiration and an idol for the cultivators of the two-spirit blood sects. Everyone looked at him with fervent reverence and respect, especially the female disciples, whose eyes sparkled with an unusual intensity. This made Bai Xiaochun extremely happy, quickly forgetting his suffering over the little turtle, and he adopted the demeanor of a senior figure, pacing back and forth in Shang City. If he saw any monks he recognized, he would nod and smile, walking straight ahead, the greetings echoing incessantly. But after a while, Bai Xiaochun lost interest, because he discovered that besides himself, there was another person who was also attracting a lot of attention, especially from the Dengxi sect, whose name was mentioned everywhere he went. She was Chen Manyao, the newly risen prodigy from the Dengxi sex war. Compared to her cultivation and combat abilities, her peerless beauty was what attracted the most attention. Although she always wore a veil, it wasn't thick, only thin, and couldn't completely conceal her beauty, making her the center of attention wherever she went. Bai Xiaochun looked at Chen Manyao, surrounded by disciples in the distance, and was still feeling annoyed. Suddenly, Chen Manyao raised her head and coldly met his gaze. Being stared at coldly by her, Bai Xiaochun became even more irritated. Her cultivation isn't as strong as mine, her status isn't higher than mine, her techniques aren't as good as mine, her background isn't as powerful as mine. What makes her so special? Bai Xiaochun muttered, thinking to himself, probably because she was more beautiful than him. He glared fiercely at her. Chen Manyao lowered her eyes, chuckled softly, and gradually walked away. Bai Xiaochun snorted, went to inquire, and found Su Baokai, Zhang Daipen, Ho Yangfei, and He Sanpan. Some of them were injured, some were exhausted, but fortunately no one had died, which made Bai Xiaochun breathe a sigh of relief. He went to find the other disciples in the giant formation to thank them. Bai Xiaochun was tactful. He knew that these friends of his were very likely intentionally protected, which was why they survived the battlefield. When Bai Xiaoqun thanked them, the disciples in the formation were all happy and respected him even more. Bai Xiaoqun approached several supreme elders, chatted briefly, and then inquired about Zhu Mei. Zhu Mei is seriously injured. Although nothing life-threatening, she needs to go into seclusion. Zhongsheng was breached today, and she's an important disciple, so she must be in the western part of the city. That area suffered the least damage. Go and search there. You might find her. One of the Bloodstream sect supreme elders chuckled, teasing Bai Xiaoqun. Bai Xiaoqun coughed, awkwardly making up some nonsense to get by, then hurried towards the western part of the city. Along the way, observing the surrounding devastation and the disciples of the two blood spirit sects, he felt immensely satisfied, feeling that his decision in the Luochen mountain range was absolutely correct. Passing by the Zhuanqi sect's treasure vault, he saw the cultivators busily inventorying the items. Bai Xiaoqun glanced at them several times, suddenly startled. That year, the Bloodstream sect had a block of pill-shaped jade said to have been stolen from the Danstream sect many years ago. Apparently, the Danstream sect still had half of the jade-shaped jade, but the Danstream sect was destroyed by the Zhuanstream sect. Perhaps that block of jade-shaped jade is in the Zhuanstream sect's treasure vault. Bai Xiaoqun's heart stirred, and he rushed over to ask. If it were anyone else, they certainly wouldn't accept anything. But Bai Xiaoqun was no ordinary person. The disciples responsible for inventorying the treasure vault hesitated for a moment before immediately nodding and leading Bai Xiaoqun into the treasure vault, giving him half of the jade-shaped jade. Bai Xiaoqun excitedly took the jade-shaped jade and examined it. If he could use the jade-shaped jade to meditate, his alchemy skills might be greatly enhanced. Maybe then I can try refining the reverse river pill. Bai Xiaoqun scratched his head, put away the jade-shaped jade, and hurried to the west city. By this time, the moon was high in the sky. The western part of the city, being the healing area for the Bloodstream sect cultivators, was very quiet. Only the guards were visible, and everyone who saw Bai Xiaoqun bowed in greeting. After inquiring around, Bai Xiaoqun learned where Zhu Mei was and hurried towards her. The place wasn't large, but it was surrounded by a protective formation, a Bloodstream sect formation, absorbing a large amount of blood energy to help the cultivators heal faster. Reaching the door, Bai Xiaoqun paused, feeling confused. No matter what, she's still little Dudu back then. Good and evil were irreconcilable. But today, the spirit stream and blood stream are one family. Bai Xiaoqun thought to himself, stepping forward and pressing the doorknob. Before Bai Xiaoqun could speak, the door opened and Zhu Mei, wearing a mask, appeared. She looked at him for a long time before softly greeting him. Zhu Mei, greetings, blood son. Bright moon hung high, its light falling across the ground, covering the earth in a gentle, cool moonlight. Under the moonlight, before the ancestral shrine, the slender blood plum stood there, her loose robe revealing the curves beneath. Her weak, hoarse voice, falling into Bai Xiaoqun's ears, made him feel a tingling sensation this time. Blood plum didn't silently ignore his shouting like before. Last time in your cave, you didn't come out to see me. This time, you won't escape. This familiar tone made Blood Plum stare at him for a long time, her eyes strange. After a while, she spoke again, her voice very weak. Thank you for saving my life, Blood Son, before, outside the cave. Because Blood Plum was injured and lost her status as Blood Son, I felt lost and didn't want to see anyone. Please forgive me. After saying that, Sumai bowed her head in apology to Bai Xiaoqun, revealing a scar on her arm and a curvaceous figure at her waist, which made Bai Xiaoqun unable to take his eyes off her. Little Dudu, there's no need to be so polite with me. Quickly take off your mask. It's been a long time since I've seen your face. Bai Xiaoqun cleared his throat and cheerfully walked over. Zhu Mei was stunned, not expecting Bai Xiaoqun to speak like that, and even less expecting him to approach her. Instinctively, she took a few steps back. Please, Duzi, have some self-respect. Even though you saved my life, you can't humiliate me. I am Zhu Mei, not some little Dudu of yours. Zhu Mei stumbled back, her eyes flashing with anger. Don't make a fuss. Bai Xiaoqun lost his temper and quickened his pace. In a single step, he crossed the distance and appeared right in front of Zhu Mei. Under different circumstances, with Du Mei's cultivation, she could have stopped him, but now she was severely injured and no longer a match for Bai Xiaoqun. With a swift movement, Bai Xiaoqun reached out and removed her mask. Her face was pale, beautiful, and serene, and although she was angry, her demeanor was so weak that it looked more like she was embarrassed. Her beauty, though not breathtaking, was absolutely stunning, no less so than Song Jungwon's. But this face, it wasn't Du Lingfei. Yu Zhang, you're going too far. Zhu Enmei retreated quickly, her face even paler, her whole body trembling, her eyes flashing with cold light. Bai Xiaochun's expression changed, his whole body radiating killing intent, his eyes turning red. You're not little Dudu. Who are you? Bai Xiaochun's killing intent flared, his breathing becoming rapid. Zhu Enmei became even more confused. This Bai Xiaochun was truly strange. She had agreed to meet him because he had saved her life, but this person had clearly pulled down her mask and was now spouting nonsense, making her feel a surge of killing intent as well. Yi Tang, are you crazy? I'll repeat it again. I'm not little Dudu, I'm Blood Plum. You're not Blood Plum. Bai Xiaochun was flustered, staring intently at Blood Plum. He clearly remembered the face behind Blood Plum's mask. When she was in Blood Ancestor's body, it was a different face. Why am I not Blood Plum? What do you mean? Blood Plum took a few more steps back. Bai Xiaochun now made her feel very dangerous. Who are you? Why are you wearing Blood Plum's clothes? Where is Blood Plum? Bai Xiaochun roared. Seeing Blood Plum retreat, he became anxious. If he didn't get to the bottom of this today, he couldn't bear it. He rushed forward and grabbed Blood Plum's arm. A sudden cough came from behind the door. Just a cough, but it made Bai Xiaochun's ears ring. He staggered, his hand trying to grab Blood Plum's arm, but it slipped. Blood Plum dodged to the side, her hand forming a hand seal, and a phantom plum blossom appeared. She was furious. Bai Xiaochun looked up, his face pale, and behind Blood Plum appeared a figure. This middle-aged man had sharp eyes, his whole body like a sharp sword unsheathed, his oppressive aura preventing Bai Xiaochun from taking another step. Ancestor Wu Jizi, Bai Xiaochun called out. Normally, he would be afraid when facing a nascent soul ancestor, but not now. Wu Jizi solemn walked forward step by step, patting Blood Plum on the shoulder. Blood Plum seemed reluctant, but dared not unleash her killing intent in front of her father anymore. Father! Blood Plum took a deep breath, suppressing her bloodlust, and the bright red plum blossom dissipated. Ancestor Wu Jizi, this daughter of yours is not Blood Plum. Bai Xiaochun took a deep breath, raising his head to stare at Wu Jizi. Although the other party continuously emitted a wave-like pressure, he did not back down. Wu Jizi coldly looked at Bai Xiaochun, saying nothing, but the pressure he emitted intensified. Bai Xiaochun trembled, unleashing his blood energy. This blood energy, originally belonging to the blood ancestor, now merged with him, helping him resist the enraged Wu Jizi. Zhu Enmei was startled. She looked at Bai Xiaochun, then at her father, seeing a strange glint in Wu Jizi's eyes. She understood her father well. When his eyes showed such a glint, it meant he held the person he was looking at in high regard. I only have one daughter, and that's her. Wu Jizi flicked his sleeve, his imposing aura disappearing, and spoke indifferently. Bai Xiaochun flinched. Unwilling to accept this, he tried to salvage the situation. I've seen Zhu Mei's face. It's not her. Look closely at my face and hers. Wu Jizi calmly responded, his voice authoritative. Bai Xiaochun carefully observed Zhu Mei's face, then looked at Wu Jizi. The more he looked, the more confused he became, his eyes clouded with bewilderment. The appearances of Wu Jizi and Zhu Enmei were so similar that ordinary people couldn't tell the difference, but as cultivators with keen eyesight, they could tell at a glance that these two were father and son. Bai Xiaochun thought of Du Lingfei's appearance and realized it didn't resemble Wu Jizi at all. I didn't pay attention that day, so who was the person I saw? Bai Xiaochun staggered back, his mind in turmoil. If Zhu Enmei was the person in front of him, then the person he saw in his heart that day. Why was it Du Lingfei? So, Du Lingfei, who exactly was she? Bai Xiaochun carefully recalled every detail of the Blood Sun's trial. The more he thought, the more shocked he became, his eyes widening. He remembered that at the moment of the teleportation, there was a wound on Zhu Mei's hand, and fresh blood under her mask. She seemed injured. But when she appeared after the passage, there was no wound on her hand, no fresh blood on her mask. All injuries had disappeared. At the time, Bai Xiaochun thought the other party had a special healing method, so he didn't pay attention. Now, recalling it, it's clearly not right. Bai Xiaochun looked up at Zumei's hand, his whole body trembling, because he clearly saw a scar there. That scar terrified Bai Xiaochun. Wu Jizi said seriously, "It seems you've seen that mysterious person." Bai Xiaochun understood. The scar revealed everything. The person he met in the Blood Sun trial was not Blood Plum. That day, after entering the passage, Plum immediately fainted. When she woke up, she found herself being teleported out, which was also the moment you became the Blood Sun, Wu Jizi said slowly. She couldn't remember anything that happened since entering the passage. Confused and panicked, she rushed to me to tell me everything. I was startled and investigated thoroughly, but I found nothing. You met that person, so tell me, who is that person? Bai Xiaochun opened his mouth to speak, but ultimately didn't say Du Lingfei's name. He suddenly realized that he himself didn't know who Du Lingfei was, or even if that name was her real or fake name. After a long while, Bai Xiaochun shook his head, bowed to Wu Jizi and Zhu Enmei, and silently left. Zhu Enmei sighed. She could see that Bai Xiaochun and the person who had swapped identities in the passage had an unusual relationship, and she could see Bai Xiaochun's suffering. Wu Jizi watched Bai Xiaochun leave, unable to stop him, as Bai Xiaochun's current status was very special. If he didn't want to speak, Wu Jizi couldn't force him. Bai Xiaochun found a random place to stop, reflecting on his encounters with Du Lingfei, and finally sighed. Du Lingfei, who exactly are you? A month quickly passed. During this month, the two sects, Lingshu sect and Zhuangxi sect, and Dengxi sect, gradually merged, using Zhuangxi Zhangsheng as their temporary mountain gate. Many cultivators from the Lingshu sect had become friends. Although not yet completely harmonious, conflicts still occur frequently, but overall, things are much better than before. It seems everyone knows how to control their impulses because the war is not yet over. There are no rivals in the lower reaches, but the real rivals are in the middle reaches. Only by becoming a middle-range sect will the war truly end. Therefore, the two sects are making great efforts to cooperate because both sides know that cooperation is beneficial, while separation will lead to the downfall of both. The Red Soul ancestor of the Zhuangxi sect is doing his best to cooperate, hoping to preserve the Zhuangxi lineage in the future. The Zhuangxi sect is also sincere. They know they have lost. If the two spirit blood sects form a new sect that can dominate the middle reaches, then the Zhuangxi sect joining it would be equivalent to becoming a middle-range sect, where resources are unlimited and there is hope for breakthroughs, so the Zhuangxi sect is also contributing to it. The Dengxi sect was similar. Bai Xiaochun didn't care about these matters. The ancestors of the two blood spirit sects were already taking care of them. He had been in seclusion for a month, successfully putting the matter of Du Lingfei aside. Upon emerging from seclusion, he was summoned to the main hall of Zhangsheng by the first-generation ancestor of the Lingxi sect. Bai Xiaochun didn't want to go, but he had no choice. Along the way, every cultivator he encountered greeted him enthusiastically, making him feel much happier. Your disciples have worked hard. Well done, keep it up. I think highly of you all. Bai Xiaochun waved his hand, his heart filled with joy. Upon arriving at the main hall, the disciples of the four sects guarding the entrance bowed to him, shouting young ancestor, making him feel as if he were about to ascend to heaven. Keep up the good work, sooner or later, you will all become young ancestors. Bai Xiaochun then adopted the air of an elder, clasped his hands behind his back, and smiled as he entered the main hall. Inside the main hall, the oppressive atmosphere was immense, the surrounding space warped, and a group of patriarchs sat in attendance. Besides Taimuzin, the four nascent soul patriarchs of the Lingxi sect were all present. The Bloodstream sect was also there, with all 6 remaining members except for the Song family patriarch. In addition, there were 4 patriarchs of the Zhuangxi sect and 3 patriarchs of the Dengxi sect, a total of 17 nascent soul cultivators seated together. As Bai Xiaochun entered, all 17 pairs of eyes focused on him. The Lingxi and Bloodstream sects remained calm, while the Zhuangxi sect's reaction was complex, especially that of Qi Han Patriarch, who felt utterly powerless. The 3 Dengxi sect members were peculiar, gazing at Bai Xiaochun with great interest. The entire landscape of the eastern and lower reaches of the cultivation world had completely changed today, all because of Bai Xiaochun alone. Under the gaze of 17 nascent soul cultivators, Bai Xiaochun trembled, took a deep breath, and thought about how many people would surely settle accounts with him today. His face turned pale, his eyes widened, and he nervously looked at the ancestors. "Good morning, esteemed ancestors," Bai Xiaochun cautiously greeted. "Bai Xiaochun, there's something I need." The first-generation ancestor of the Lingxi sect spoke first. Bai Xiaochun trembled, knowing that these old geezers were looking for him for nothing good. With such an imposing aura, did they want him to do something extremely dangerous? His expression changed, and his heart pounded. He desperately wanted to stop them from finishing, otherwise it would be difficult to refuse. So, gritting his teeth, without waiting for the Lingxi sect ancestor to finish speaking, he clutched his chest, cried out in pain, spat out a mouthful of fresh blood, staggered back a few steps, and hoarsely opened his mouth. "Venerable ancestors, I'm severely injured in the recent battle. My old wounds haven't healed yet, and new ones have appeared. I wish to go into seclusion to heal. Therefore, I won't disturb you any further." After saying this, Bai Xiaochun quickly retreated. But before he could retreat more than a few steps, the first patriarch of the Lingxi sect glared. "Stop!" Bai Xiaochun's footsteps halted for a moment, his face filled with sorrow, and he forced out some fresh blood, looking pitifully at the first patriarch. "Patriarch, I'm really seriously injured, and besides, I'm too famous. If I go out, many people will want to kill me. The other disciples have already expressed their opinions, so they should be given a chance. I can't continue fighting anymore." The first patriarch of the Lingxi sect felt a headache coming on, a mixture of amusement and frustration. The other patriarchs also chuckled. They had heard about Bai Xiaochun's personality, and now they finally witnessed it firsthand. The Bloodstream sect was stunned, especially Wu Jizi, who found it truly unbelievable. The Bloodstream sect's founder was astonished, and if they were like that, imagine the reaction of the Xuanstream sect and the Danstream sect. The Crimson Soul ancestor's eyes widened in disbelief. It was truly strange. He simply couldn't believe that this Bai Xiaochun and the person he saw on the battlefield were the same person. He thought he must have been hallucinating, or Bai Xiaochun had been replaced by someone else. The three ancestors of the Downstream sect stared blankly at Bai Xiaochun, their minds reeling. This person had actually changed the layout of the eastern and lower reaches of the cultivation world. How could they possibly bear this? "It wasn't to tell you to go into battle." The first-generation ancestor of the Lingstream sect shook his head. "It wasn't to tell you to go into battle, but after our discussion, we're preparing to follow your suggestion and establish a new sect. We were just about to ask for your opinion on what to name it." The first-generation ancestor of the Lingstream sect shook his head, looking at Bai Xiaochun. The name of the sect. What do you think of the Immortal sect, or the Longevity sect?" No, we want to go to the middle reaches. It must have the word river in it. Otherwise, how about the Reverse River sect, or the Turtle River sect? The Turtle River sect. This name sounds good. It has a profound meaning. I think, a turtle. Bai Xiaochun rattled off one name after another. Before he could finish, everyone glared at him, and the first ancestor of the Lingxi sect quickly interrupted him. "Then let's call it the Reverse River sect. On the day of the grand ceremony, we will officially confer upon you the title of Young Ancestor of the Reverse River sect, proclaiming to the world that besides asking for the sect's name, we also want to ask your opinion on becoming the Young Ancestor." The Lingxi sect ancestor quickly rattled off, afraid that if he continued, Bai Xiaochun would spout out another ridiculous name. "Officially confer upon me the title of Young Ancestor." Bai Xiaochun was startled. But only now did he feel completely relieved, certain that he wasn't going on any dangerous mission. He breathed a sigh of relief, his tense expression transforming into one of solemnity. The blood at the corner of his mouth disappeared, and his whole demeanor became dignified, transforming him into a hero. What a disciple should do, he must do, Bai Xiaochun said in a deep voice, his face full of heroism, fearless, with bright, intelligent eyes. This change caused all the patriarchs in the main hall to widen their eyes again, especially the Crimson Soul patriarch of the Zhuangzi sect, who had to rub his eyes, his face blank. The Dangxi sect and the Bloodxi sect were also stunned. The patriarchs of the Lingxi sect smiled wryly, feeling awkward. The first-generation patriarch of the Lingxi sect glared at Bai Xiaochun, rubbing his forehead in dissatisfaction, saying, "In my opinion, we should think about this more. Patriarch, I feel that no one is more suitable to be the young patriarch of the Reverse River sect than me." This matter doesn't need any further thought. I agree. Bai Xiaochun raised his head, full of aura, extremely courageous. Your reputation is too great. Perhaps you should give other disciples a chance. The bloodthirsty sect's ancestor coughed, interjecting. Ancestor, reputation represents responsibility. Great reputation means heavy responsibility. I, Bai Xiaochun, am protecting the sect. How can I let my fellow disciples sacrifice themselves for me? That would be my responsibility, and it would be unfair to them. I, Bai Xiaochun, cannot do that. Absolutely cannot do it. If fate chooses me, if the sect chooses me, I, Bai Xiaochun, will not flinch even if I have to brave the flames of war. Bai Xiaochun flicked his sleeve, his head held high with righteous indignation. But you are severely injured, and as the young patriarch, you should be careful not to get even more injured in the future. The Crimson Soul ancestor tried to dissuade him. Bai Xiaochun was stunned, carefully considering the matter, his heart in turmoil. Then, gritting his teeth, he forced a nonchalant smile. In the life of a cultivator, who doesn't shed blood? I, Bai Xiaochun, only hope to protect the sect for the rest of my life. I am willing to use the blood of my entire life to make this hope a reality, because I am the young patriarch of the Reverse River sect. Bai Xiaochun's hopeful expression for the sect and his unwavering commitment to the future made the patriarchs look at him in disbelief. If they hadn't just seen his true nature, this scene would have led everyone to believe he was an unparalleled and righteous hero. The entire hall fell silent. The elders of the four sects all looked at Bai Xiaochun with strange expressions. After a while, the first patriarch of the Lingxi sect chuckled. All right, a month from now, the grand ceremony will be held, announcing the establishment of the Lower Eastern Meridian cultivation world. The Reverse River sect will be officially founded, and at the same time, we will submit a challenge to the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect to challenge the Void River Academy. This battle, I, Bai, have been looking forward to for a long time. Bai Xiaochun continued to put on airs, then quickly left the grand hall with a satisfied and contented expression. Only when he returned to his residence did he calm down, take a deep breath, and feel excited and exhilarated. Those old geezers really scared me to death. I thought they were going to send me on some dangerous mission. They should have just said they wanted to appoint me as the young sect leader. Bai Xiaochun said proudly, shaking his head. Becoming the young ancestor is incredibly famous. It will definitely cause a sensation in all directions. Ha ha ha. At that time, the slogan will have to change a bit. It can't be Central Peak Blood Sun, boundless magical power, Lingxi heavenly vein, awe-inspiring in all directions. Maybe it should be Reverse River Young Ancestor, invincible in the world. Bai Xiaochun thought, becoming even more excited. As for safety, HMPH, being the young sect leader, I'm the safest. I absolutely won't go out alone. Every time I go out, I have to bring a huge number of people to protect me. Bai Xiaochun was delighted, extremely looking forward to the grand ceremony a month later. Very quickly, the news of the establishment of the Reverse River sect spread everywhere, becoming the most talked about topic, causing a sensation throughout the lower eastern region of the cultivation world. Smaller sects, cultivation families, and even rogue cultivators were shocked. To them, the four major sects were already colossal monsters, and now they were even unified. Such strength was the strongest sect in the history of the lower eastern region, especially. There was one piece of news that made people tremble, fanatically, and excited. This news was: the goal of the Reverse River sect was not only to unify, but also to conquer the Middle Region, replace the Void River Academy, and become the sect of the Middle Region. This news drove people into a frenzy because it meant that if the Reverse River sect succeeded, 4 sect positions in the downstream region would be vacant. The Reverse River sect craved becoming a mid-level sect, just as the low-level sects and cultivation families craved becoming low-level sects. All sorts of disputes and clandestine deals raged, centered around the Reverse River sect's founding ceremony a month later. The Reverse River sect hadn't yet determined its official sect location. This strategically important area at the pass was only a temporary mountain gate, and the only suitable mountain gate for it was at the Void River Academy. Although it was a temporary mountain gate, Zhongsheng had been magnificently renovated, radiating an aura of grandeur. The lower-level sects and cultivation families flocked to Zhongsheng, all those with the strength rushing there. Therefore, on the day of the grand ceremony, The number of people who flocked reached an astonishing level. Even the vast Zhongshan couldn't contain them all. They filled the area outside, surrounding the city. On this day, cultivators from the Nest sect appeared everywhere, dressed in their neat robes, exuding a powerful aura. All their treasures were displayed. 17 patriarchs hovered in the air. Below them were over 100 golden core inheritors. Below them were several hundred supreme elders, followed by a sea of foundation establishment cultivators, their combined overwhelming power causing those attending the ceremony to tremble. Heaven and earth bear witness. Today we swear an oath. The Nest sect is established. A mournful voice echoed from above, reverberating in all directions, heard by everyone. The Lingxi sect hereby abandons its own name and voluntarily joins the Nest sect. The Zhuangxi sect hereby abandons its own name and voluntarily joins the Nest sect. Zhuangxi sect. Dangxi sect. Bai Xiaojun was agitated, standing in midair, looking up and then down. My heart was shaken. Suddenly, a strange phenomenon occurred. A dazzling golden light appeared in the sky, forming a vortex that tore open the void, creating a gaping hole tens of thousands of feet wide. An extremely powerful pressure descended, suppressing everyone, making them seem like fireflies beside the moon. The entire scene instantly fell silent. Inside that enormous hole, an eye slowly emerged. The eye was so large, it was as if the entire world had become a small vessel, and someone outside the vessel was peering into it. Bai Xiaojun held his breath in terror. The cold eye swept around, and a low, rumbling voice echoed from within the hole. The Reverse River sect receives the decree. The patriarchs exchanged excited glances. The Bloodstream sect's founder took a deep breath, clasped his hands, and bowed. We accept the decree. Your request for battle, the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect agrees, allowing the Reverse River sect to destroy the Void River Academy and take its place. After the rumbling voice finished speaking, a golden light flew out from the hole, straight towards the Bloodstream sect's founder, revealing itself as a golden jade slip. The hole in the sky disappeared, and the Bloodstream sect's founder held the golden jade slip high. The cultivators of the Reverse River sect shouted in unison, Reverse River will win! Reverse River will win! Reverse River will win! The best tempering comes from war. Only through war training can the four sects truly emerge, undergo a transformation, and become even more glorious. Bai Xiaojun, step forward and listen to the decree. The Bloodstream sect's ancestor raised his head, glanced around, and called out to Bai Xiaojun. Bai Xiaojun was startled, his blood boiling with excitement. He took a deep breath to calm himself and stepped forward to stand before the 17 nascent soul ancestors. Disciple Bai Xiaojun greets the ancestors. Bai Xiaojun clasped his hands and bowed, his expression solemn and full of imposing presence. Bai Xiaojun now showed no trace of timidity or any hint of weakness, but instead became a steadfast, calm, and imposing figure. Those who had never seen Bai Xiaojun before showed awe and respect. They had long heard of Bai Xiaojun's name, heard that he was the one who had changed the landscape of the entire lower eastern branch of the cultivation world. Today, seeing him in person, he was indeed a true prodigy. Is that Bai Xiaojun? He's truly a darling of heaven. I've heard some rumors about Bai Xiaojun. They say he's brilliant and valiant, naturally extraordinary, shining like a star. But there are also many who say he's cowardly, afraid of death, despicable, and shameless. Such a person is bound to be envied. Now that I think about it, perhaps all the bad rumors I heard about him were lies. Meanwhile, those who knew Bai Xiaojun were wide-eyed, thinking they had mistaken him for someone else. Zhang Dapeng sighed. Hou Yanfei shook his head with a smile, and Su Baocai and the others were full of emotion, feeling that Bai Xiaojun had truly perfected this technique to perfection. Bai Xiaojun was beaming with pride, his mind filled with thoughts of how he would show off after becoming the young patriarch. He was eagerly anticipating it, but he didn't let it show. His expression was solemn, like a born iron-blooded warrior, standing there coldly, exuding the aura of the night burial, drawing countless cheers and praises. This also caused the 17 patriarchs to look puzzled, secretly breathing a sigh of relief. They had all feared that Bai Xiaojun would reveal the true nature they had witnessed in the main hall that day. Bai Xiaojun, becoming the young patriarch of the Reverse River sect means bearing hardship and responsibility. From now on, you must always prioritize the sect. Your life, your glory, everything you possess is directly connected to the sect. The sect's glory is your glory. The sect's disgrace is your disgrace. No matter where you go, no matter what time it is, everything that belongs to you will exist and perish with the sect. If one day the sect ceases to exist, you will rebuild it. If one day the sect loses its glory, you must continue to bear the responsibility. Protect the sect. Never separate from the sect. Never lose your true self. By Xiaochun, are you ready to shoulder this responsibility? Answer me. The Bloodstream sect ancestor's voice was unprecedentedly serious, echoing in all directions. Bai Xiaochun trembled, standing silently. He suddenly realized that this status as the young sect leader not only meant glory, but also a heavy responsibility. He and the Reverse River sect would be inseparable for life. This place would become his home, the place in his heart, the most precious place of his life. Bai Xiaochun felt a pang of anxiety. He thought a lot, remembering the Donglan mountain range below Mao Mountain, his fellow villagers, his parents holding his hand before they passed away, the times he lit incense sticks, and everything he had experienced at the Lingxi sect and the Bloodstream sect. Instinctively, he turned his head and looked at Li Qingou. Li Qingou was full of pride, feeling proud that he had brought Bai Xiaochun up the mountain. The boy had finally grown up and reached such heights. Seeing Bai Xiaochun looking at him, Li Qingou smiled. Seeing Li Qingou smile, Bai Xiaochun took a deep breath, his eyes becoming resolute, and bowed to the Bloodstream sect's ancestor. I am ready. He spoke those 5 words slowly, because they carried immense weight. After saying them, he felt no sense of triumph, but rather a heavy burden of responsibility. The Bloodstream sect ancestor looked at Bai Xiaochun. With his age and cultivation, he could see that Bai Xiaochun's answer at this moment truly came from the heart. He nodded, then looked at the first ancestor of the Spirit Stream sect. The two exchanged glances, their expressions resolute and unwavering. From today onwards, Bai Xiaochun is hereby appointed as the young ancestor of the Reverse River sect. The Bloodstream sect ancestor no longer hesitated. All the cultivators of the Reverse River sect clasped their hands and bowed respectfully to Bai Xiaochun. Greetings, young ancestor. This bow was not only from the inner and outer disciples, but also from the Foundation Establishment and Golden Core cultivators. The status of young ancestor was second only to the ancestor, and even above the lineage. The Song family bowed their heads at this moment. Shangguan Qianyu clenched his fists, his heart filled with bitterness, and he too had to bow. The onlookers also greeted him. Greetings, young ancestor of the Reverse River sect. The voice boomed, resounding loudly. Bai Xiaochun breathed heavily, bowing his head, 1,000 words swirling in his heart, yet he couldn't utter them. Finally, all his thoughts condensed into a single sentence, one he would never forget in his life. As long as the sect remains, I remain. He only whispered these words to himself, but his expression and demeanor were seen by the elders, causing some to feel a sense of nostalgia, others to recall memories, and still others to offer encouragement. In a corner of the magnificent city, a monkey looked up at the sky, smiling amiably. Bai Xiaochun, the sect will certainly not let you down, the monkey murmured. Beside it, a rabbit lay with its eyes wide open, gazing at the sky. Zi Bing. The grand founding ceremony of the Reverse River sect concluded, becoming the topic of conversation among everyone in the lower reaches of the Eastern cultivation world, with people mentioning it every day. The decree of the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect, the conferment of Bai Xiaochun's title, and the strength of the Reverse River sect were all unforgettable. The Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect allowing the Reverse River sect to challenge them meant opening a new battle, a battle that the Reverse River sect valued immensely. And everyone was eagerly anticipating it. Because this battle was crucial, it would determine whether the sect would become a mid-level sect or not. There were many preparations to be made, and the ancestors had unanimously agreed that they would definitely give their all in this battle, sparing no expense. The Dangxi sect and the Zhuangxi sect returned to their old mountain gates, plundering all their assets, resources, and treasures. According to the agreement, 2 months later, they would gather at the Bloodstream sect, and from there, they would head to the Void River Academy. In the main hall, the ancestors of the Spirit Stream sect and Li Qingou were all present. The first ancestor waved his hand, sealing off the entire hall to block out sound. The other ancestors also contributed, but still not reassured. The first ancestor took out a compass. emitting a black and white aura that enveloped everything around it. The compass radiated an extremely powerful pressure, but due to its considerable damage, it only retained the function of sealing space, completely lacking any other abilities. With this 6 immortal compass, even a heavenly human realm expert wouldn't be able to sense this place. Having prepared, the first ancestor sighed softly, looking at Bai Xiaochun with a serious expression. Xiaochun, you must remember what I'm about to tell you. After leaving here, you must not tell anyone, otherwise it will lead to a catastrophic disaster. Bai Xiaochun sighed, thinking that if things were like this, it would be better not to hear it at all, because if he were to blurt it out someday, wouldn't he lose his life? I didn't intend to tell you, but since you're the young ancestor of the Reverse River sect, there are some things that, if I don't tell you, might implicate you if something goes wrong later. My Linksy sect isn't from the eastern branch of the cultivation world. The ancestor looked into the distance, as if reminiscing. Our origins are in the northern branch of the cultivation world. We were once a great sect, called Hanmen. Bai Xiaochun's eyes widened. He hadn't expected Linksy sect to have such a significant history. The words Hanmen reminded him of the Hanmen medicinal scroll. It was once the Hanmen sect, a sect at the head of the northern lineage, renowned and in its time alongside the Starry Sky Dao Extreme sect. Due to a betrayal, the Hanmen sect collapsed, and the predecessors had no choice but to endure hardship and live a precarious life, fleeing to the eastern lineage of the cultivation world to re-establish themselves here. Only 2 people escaped here. One is my master, and the other is the true spirit of the Han sect. The Linksy sect, with my master's support, has gradually become one of the 4 lower eastern sects, but the Han sect's true spirit is the true treasure and weapon of our Linksy sect. The elders fell silent. Zhen Yuandong was serious, and Li Qinghe was startled, clearly only now realizing this. But back then, the true spirit was too severely injured and had to freeze itself, falling into a deep sleep. It hasn't awakened for many years. To awaken it, only a type of elixir called the Reverse River Elixir can temporarily revive it and avert the danger. We only have 1 Reverse River Elixir. Unless absolutely necessary, we cannot use it. For so many years, we've tried countless methods, but no one has been able to create a second one. I want you, after returning to the Linksy sect, to pay your respects to the true spirit once, and at the same time, think of a way to create the Reverse River Pill before the mid-level battle. If you succeed, it will be a great help to the Linksy lineage and the Reverse River sect. The ancestor looked at Bai Xiaochun expectantly. The Reverse River Pill, he had felt this pill was strange when he was researching the pill formula before, and only now did he understand that this pill was a special medicine made for true spirits. The Cold Gate Medicinal Scroll, Reverse River Pill. Bai Xiaochun murmured. Both of these things were given to you by a senior of the sect. That monkey. Bai Xiaochun blurted out. This was too big a deal. Bai Xiaochun needed time to process it. He returned to his residence and took out the Reverse River Pill formula to examine it carefully. The Reverse River Pill. Bai Xiaochun suddenly became curious about the true spirit, really wanting to see what it looked like. A day later, the Bloodstream sect members began to retreat to their sect's mountain gate, where they had a very important matter to attend to. Before leaving, the Bloodstream sect ancestor sought out Bai Xiaochun and told him something that shocked him once again. Xiaochun, do you know the origins of our Bloodstream sect's blood ancestor? The Bloodstream sect ancestor asked. Huh? Origins? What about them? Bai Xiaochun was startled. He felt that the Bloodstream sect and the Spirit Stream sect were so similar, each with so many secrets, and each one so significant, making him feel uneasy. So you still don't know. I thought you knew a little after obtaining the inheritance. The Bloodstream sect ancestor sighed, and Bai Xiaochun could only give a wry smile. The blood ancestors' origins are very mysterious, but let's not talk about that now. Our Bloodstream lineage has studied the blood ancestor for many years and has come to a conclusion. Within the blood ancestor's body exists a blood lord's inheritance. And the blood ancestor's body is not immobile. Bai Xiaochun's eyes gradually widened. The blood ancestor's body is enormous, submerged in the Tongshan River. But as you can see, we've set up a formation on the blood ancestor's 5 fingers. In fact, the true purpose of this formation is so that one day, our Bloodstream sect can control the blood ancestor's body. Bai Xiaochun immediately recalled the formation he had seen in the central peak. At that time, Wujizi and Zhu Mei had controlled it, affecting everyone's blood energy. After Bai Xiaochun became a blood sun, he felt the existence of the formation, like having an extra layer of clothing to control his body. Bai Xiaochun suddenly understood the bloodstream sect's idea. It's just that this is too difficult. Our bloodstream sect has been preparing for many years, even setting up formations inside the blood ancestor's body. But we still haven't been able to do it because we're still missing a core element. The core's function is to condense the blood energy of all the bloodstream sect disciples into one place, transforming it into power to control the blood ancestor's body. From what we've seen, only the blood master can create this core, so only you can do it. I hope you can return to the bloodstream sect and cooperate with us to enter the blood ancestor's body, control it, and use it to fight against the Void River Academy. If successful, our chances of winning will increase. The bloodstream sect ancestor's eyes gleamed. This was his lifelong wish. Bai Xiaochun remained silent, only nodding slightly after a long while. He was also very curious about the blood ancestor's body. After agreeing on a time with the bloodstream sect ancestor, the ancestor led the bloodstream sect members away. Bai Xiaochun waited a few more days until all the spirit stream sect members had left. Only then was he certain no one else wanted to reveal any secrets to him. So many secrets! Bai Xiaochun exclaimed, feeling a mix of admiration and pride, thinking himself truly superior, someone people were willing to seek out to share their secrets with.